Hi there. I'm going to show you now how to do some vocal mixing. So we have a project right here.
You light up another cigarette and I pour the wine. It's 4 o'clock in the morning and it's...
So the good thing is that I got like a lot of vocal takes. And the first thing that I'd do is I'd put all those vocal takes on different channels, and then I would kind of like choose the best ones to make the best vocal take out of all the different ones. So I've done that already because that's more down to a personal preference, so you don't really need to know how to do that. You just have to trust yourself more than anything.
You light up another cigarette and I pour the wine.
So with that being said, I would probably put a denoiser on there first, because a lot of vocals, when they're recorded, they have a little bit of noise on there, and it's always good to take that off just to make sure your vocals are nice and clean. I like to use one of the Waves plugins for that, and you can just
You light up another
reduce.
cigarette and I pour the wine.
These vocals are quite clean anyway, so it's not so bad. Once that's done, I like to bounce them as one thing on its own, and then we can bring it back in.
You light up another cigarette and I pour the wine. It's 4 o'clock in the morning and it's starting to light.
The good thing here with Logic is you can shift notes around in the tuning and the timings as well. So I like to turn that on. Sometimes you won't hear those right away, because when you put the compressors on, you might start to hear those little errors, and you can tweak them as you go. Okay, so vocal processing, I have a particular way that I like to approach that. First of all, we start with an EQ, and we just roll anything below 100 Hertz. And then I like to put some saturation on. Through Logic, I just put a simple overdrive, just at 0, and it will just saturate those vocals. We can add more or less if it sounds good or not. And then I like to add a little bit more with the CLA2. Now the vocals should stand out more now.
You light up another cigarette and I pour the wine. It's 4 o'clock in the morning and it's starting to light.
Okay, so you don't want them peaking too much, so the next thing I do is I put a compressor on there. I like this stock compressor by Logic, and what I'm going to try and do here is just to get the very peaks. So you can do this with pretty much any compressor. It's just have a no attack, put an automatic release on, and auto gain up to 0 dB. And then I like quite a strong compression, maybe about 10, and a limiter on there. And what I'll do is I'll just get the peaks a little bit, and then it will push it down quite a lot.
You light up another cigarette and I pour the wine. It's 4 o'clock in the morning and it's starting to...
You don't really want that to go below -5, because then it's just going to be too squashed, because already you've got quite a pushed ratio, so it's pushing it down by 10 every time it hits here. So it depends. I don't like my vocals too squashed, especially when it's taken off a lot of attack. But anyway, this will squeeze it just enough to cut through the mix.
You light up another cigarette and I pour the wine. It's 4 o'clock in the morning.
And you see that limiter's just really stopping it from peaking as well, and it's quite a clean limiter on here. I like that. Maybe we've got a bit too much compression, so we can pull back a couple dB.
You light up another cigarette.
And I think we can push our overdrives a little bit more.
You light up another cigarette and I pour the wine. It's 4 o'clock in the morning.
Okay, so now we've done that compression, you can hear there's a few artifacts coming through on there. You can hear some breaths and stuff. Some people like to keep those in, in some cases that works, but in this take I feel that it's not really adding to it. It's taking away from it. So let's solo that and just cut some things out.
You light up another cigarette.
The first breath is nice, so we can leave that in.
And I pour the wine.
Yeah, this breath out here just doesn't sound so good. So we just cut that out. Put a fade on there.
It's 4 o'clock in the morning and it's starting to light.
And there's also a little click at the end. Just fade that out. I also noticed that there was a part that the compressor wasn't quite catching. Around here it went a little bit too quiet for my liking. So in that case what I usually use is I use like a separate gain structure, because I like to leave this main fader for my own settings. So I can use this gain thing just as an automation around here, just to turn up that little phrase.
You light up another cigarette and I pour the wine. It's 4 o'clock in the morning and it's
Yeah, maybe too much.
You light up another cigarette and I pour the wine. It's 4 o'clock in the morning and it's starting to light.
Okay, better. So mixing decisions always make sure that you're not soloed and that you're making them within the mix. Also, you may well have noticed around here that something didn't sound quite right, and that is due to probably the singer standing too close to the mic and getting too much bass, but that's easy to fix. It's just cutting out that excess bass. And to do that, we can use another high-pass filter. So wherever you hear too much bass, you can just adjust it as necessary.
It's 4
See that area there? It could be from them kicking the stand or just standing too close. In that case, what I will then do is I will just export that piece on its own, and remember to take off these parts, and because I don't want it to affect the rest of the section. Otherwise it might cut off too much in some places. So we can just bring that back in, that one piece. It's a little bit of extra work, but it makes the difference. It keeps things nice and clean. And then you can take that off. Okay, so now we have our vocals back in there. And a common problem with vocals is that when they're recorded through condenser mics, it picks up too much high frequencies and you get these very strong S sounds. You can take a listen if we solo it over here.
And it starts, and it starts.
You can hear that S, and I just used the Waves de-esser to put that on, and you can look at this attenuation as we bring down the threshold to see how much it's taking off.
And it starts, 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 and it starts.
So around there you can hear it's around that 6,000 kilohertz frequency. And then we just listen back in the mix to how it sounds. Make sure.
You light up another cigarette and I pour the wine. It's 4 o'clock in the morning and it's starting to light.
Yeah, you could take off a bit more, that's fine. Okay, finally I like to just add a little transparent maximizer on the top. And that's just to stop my vocals peaking. If they do peak, this is a very transparent limiter. It won't distort it with the IRC 4 setting on the isotope. This is a very basic vocal setting. I mean, we can also add things on like harmonic high-end distortion as well if we need, but for now let's just listen how it sounds. So the next thing I would do is to bus out a reverb, and we can just send our vocal to a new channel and put the Space Designer reverb on there. There's other reverbs you can use like Valhalla and stuff, but this one, I'm a big fan of it. So let's listen to it in the mix.
You light up another cigarette and I pour the wine. It's 4 o'clock in the morning and
I actually went for the default setting on this because I thought it sounded great. And then all I did was I just took the decay down a little bit because it was a bit too strong and lasted too long, and then I just rolled off the lows and a little bit of the highs to make it more natural and dialed it back a couple dB because I still want clarity in the mix.
you light up another cigarette and I pour the wine.
One more thing that I like to add sometimes is a little bit of harmonic distortion in the high end. You can do that with a number of different plugins. Isotope have good ones, and I'm a fan of the CLA vocals. So let's add that one on. And I will just turn off all of these. And I will just put my treble to put some top end on it.
You light up another cigarette and I pour the wine. It's 4 o'clock in the morning and it's starting to delight.
So what I did there was I just saturated at the high end a little bit and then turned the rest of it down so the body is down and then the high end's cutting through. And that's all I needed to do on this vocal take because it's a great vocal. I want to keep it natural, and I just want to make sure it fits nicely in my mix, and that's it.